Hi, this is Gwen Foster. I want to do a video on sleep because this is a huge issue for many, many people. And there's a lot of reasons people don't sleep, but I want to just go through some of them, or the most popular reasons. One reason is because of busy brain. So a lot of people do not go to sleep because their mind does not shut off, and a lot of people self-medicate with wine, alcohol, marijuana, or whatever to shut their brain off. First thing they need to do is make sure they're not getting any foods with MSG or aspartame. I'm going to say this in like 25 videos, because if you eat those foods, your brain is going to be busy. It's going to go in like it won't stop. It's just like non-stop. And it's thinking about stuff that it doesn't need to be thinking about. It's not going to calm down. It's not going to be peaceful, restful sleep. There's a product called GABA that is good for busy brain if you have had MSG, but really it doesn't really work as a band-aid after. It really works kind of as a band-aid if you get it in your body before you eat those foods, because it needs to fill those brain receptor sites first. I did a separate video on brain, and you can go look at that. But GABA can be useful before your evening meal if it's going to have MSG and it's going to affect you from sleep, but it has to be taken before the meal. It's not so effective for taking after the meal. Another product that I like a lot is valerian root. I like the Kroger Herbs. It's called New Dimensions valerian root because it doesn't have any other fillers. It's straight valerian. Some people have told me they've tried valerian and it didn't work. There is a sleepy time tea extra that has valerian that can be very good, but if you just want straight valerian just to like take the edge off the nervous system, this is a very good valerian root to try, and a lot of my clients love that. There's a separate video on CBD, but CBD can be very good for sleep. What I usually tell people is to try to take just 2 or 3 drops and then see how they do. Take another 2 or 3. If the first 2 or 3 don't work, they're going to get to some point that it's going to relax them enough to sleep, even if they're super stressed out. If people wake up in the middle of the night and they can't sleep, I still recommend they take 1 to 3 drops of CBD, just enough to keep their mind quiet. Sometimes it's like retraining the body, like you're supposed to be sleeping, but make sure and clean up your diet so that it's not food stuff that's messing with your brain. The next thing is 5-HTP. 5-HTP is a product I personally take every night. I take 200 milligrams now, but when I first started taking 5-HTP, I was taking 400 milligrams. And the thing with 5-HTP is it's a deficiency in serotonin, which can also be very related to mood disorders, also weight loss and some other things. But if someone is serotonin deficient, they are not going to sleep. Sometimes not fall asleep, sometimes not stay asleep, sometimes wake up 4 o'clock in the morning and cannot go back to sleep. A lot of times as we age, we have less serotonin, just like we have less growth hormone. So it can be super important. But what I found is a lot of children are serotonin deficient and they're not good sleepers. For children, I recommend Apex's Serotaflow, and this is a spray. It tastes good versus taking a pill. It's basically the same kind of product. One's a pill, one's a spray. I found the spray really good for children, especially small children. And then calcium, magnesium. Sometimes just a deficiency in calcium, magnesium can affect someone's ability to sleep. Both calcium and magnesium are useful for just calming and resting and restful sleep. If a lot of people know that calcium is important because of osteoporosis and osteopenia, what most people don't know though is it's a huge factor in weight loss and in sleep. So if you tend to have Charlie horses, muscle cramps, and things like that are affecting your sleep, you definitely want to take a calcium magnesium complex. And I would also recommend potassium. And one of the things to know about sleep, and this is something that goes into another subject, which is the adrenals, is if you are not sleeping and if you're not in bed by 11 p.m., from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is when your adrenals get restored. That's the adrenal cycle of the Chinese medicine clock. And a lot of people have bad habits of staying up late. And sometimes it's because of a job. Sometimes they work in a factory or a restaurant or a bar. Sometimes it's just they're on their phone looking up stuff on YouTube. Sometimes it's just bad habits and people can't sleep. But if you're not asleep by 11, you're actually doing long-term damage to your adrenals, because it's from 11 to 1 that your adrenals are restored. And that's the most important time to be asleep. Make sure you're asleep by 11, no matter what that takes. If you have to try to go to bed at 10:15 to be asleep by 11, or 10:30 to be asleep by 11. if you try to go to bed at 11 and you're still not asleep till 12 or 12:30, that doesn't really fix the problem. So it's super important also for kids. A lot of times when I see young people, they have adrenal issues and sometimes major adrenal issues. And when I talk to them, they haven't been to bed by 11 in like a long time, like since they were 12 years old. Or it seems funny, it's like the year they got their cell phone. That's when the sleep habits change, because what they're doing is they're in bed late, chatting, texting, Facebooking, whatever people do late at night, and they're not sleeping. So this can be a huge problem. So if you have not small children, but children with cell phones, I would recommend that you make sure they're not using them after like 10:30, because this sleep deprivation causes a lot of problems. It causes problems with fertility, miscarriages, energy, cognition, focus, and adrenal burnout. And you got people walking around like zombies, and it's because they're not getting sleep. But sleep can affect our IQ. It can affect our retention and comprehension. It can not just our energy level, but what happens when we don't sleep? The next thing we do is we drink a pot of coffee. We have 3 or 4 caffeinated things from Starbucks, or we do sugar, or we do Red Bulls or energy drinks or whatever it takes to stay awake, when those are not good for us. I've had young people end up in the hospital, and one guy, I remember, I thought he was drinking 4 Red Bulls a day, and he went into the hospital and they thought he was having a heart attack, and he was just souped up on caffeine. This was during the day after he had other caffeine in the morning. So this is not good. This is not good for people to live on Red Bull. It's not good for people to live on coffee all day, because what they really need to do is sleep, change their habits, and get support for sleep. If one product, I recommend an appointment to figure out why you're not sleeping. But if you're not sleeping and you try one thing and it doesn't work, then try the next thing. It doesn't mean nothing's going to work. It just means that maybe you're not low in serotonin. So maybe it's your nervous system. Then I'd go with CBD. Maybe it's your food and you're having MSG. So then I'd go with GABA and changing your diet. Something will work. It's just a matter of finding the right combination. And sometimes it's more than one thing. Sometimes it's your busy brain and it's low in serotonin. So it might take 2 products to get you to sleep. But in my opinion, water and sleep are the 2 most important things we could talk about. Like, they're so important to our health and our aging and our brain and our energy and how we function in life, that we can either be coasting through life like a robot zombie, or we can feel like good energy, feel energized, feel like we can take on the day. That's the difference between sleep and no sleep. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the information. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.